Brilliance Audio.
Kidnapped and Last Night, two short stories by Christina Dodd, performed by Zara Hampton-Brown. Today in Tracombe, England, on a tour of the famed Masterson Manor. And that, my friends, is how the Masterson family got its name, and how this immense Masterson bed came into being. Tourist guide and dedicated student of history, Laurel Whitney, was proud that with her recitation she'd kept the tourists enthralled. Two of the trio of American women, Miss Ferguson and Mrs. Stradling, stood with their hands clasped over their hearts. The other female, Mrs. Plant, was feverishly jotting down notes in her crumpled spiral notebook. The newlyweds, John and Megan, eyed the bed with more than scholarly interest. Probably they were picturing all the marital jousts that had been fought between its tall wooden posts. But even Brian Plant, son of the note jotter and every inch an American teenage boy, stood beside the Masterson bed, rubbing the polished walnut as if through his touch he could feel the passage of time. Yes, Laurel had brought the manor and the bed to life to everyone. Everyone except the patently disinterested handyman, who knelt on the floor, placing his tools in his kit. That was the exact right place for Max Ashton to be, kneeling, on the floor, preferably far away from her. Because the first Masterson love affair ended so happily, and with so many progeny, the family built, Laurel gestured grandly, their castle. If you look out either window, you can see the ruins from here. The tourists divided up and rushed to the windows. It's on a cliff overlooking the beach. Laurel followed them and peered over their shoulders. You can see that the keep, that's the place where the family lived, has walls intact, but the outer castle walls are almost completely grown over, the stones carried away by the villagers as building material. Here and there, rock columns jut up like fingers pointing to the sky. "Shouldn't an archaeologist excavate?" Mrs. Plant asked. Laurel shook her head. The ruins are no different than a dozen other castles in England. It's only of interest to local historians, and that's because the Mastersons were the influential family in this area for almost 800 years. Laurel pointed to the portraits on the walls, the formal portrait of Lord Rawson Masterson, the more carefree portrait of Lord Stirling Masterson, and the darkened, stylized sketch of Sir Nicholas, the founder of the family. Brian covered up a yawn, but when his mum nudged him, he jumped and asked, "What happened to him?" "I'm sad to say, the line vanished from England in the early years of the 19th century," Laurel answered. Max clanged his wrenches together. "Bunch of losers," he muttered. She couldn't resist. She knelt beside him and in an intense whisper said, "Excuse me, what did you say? Did you accuse someone else of being a loser? A family of nobles? Of rulers? Because I have to say, Mr. Handyman, you've got the nerve." Max stopped work and turned his gaze to hers. He looked not at her body, neatly clad in navy slacks and a cream-coloured cashmere sweater. He didn't ogle her cleavage or examine her lips. No, that complete and utter asshole looked into her eyes. The trouble with that was, when she returned his gaze, she saw too much. Humour, desire, admiration, and memories. In fact, when she looked into his green eyes, she fell into his soul. The blonde American, Miss Ferguson, made a cooing noise. Hastily, Laurel scrambled to her feet and made a show of adjusting the large, eggplant-coloured velvet comforter on the Masterson bed. "I had this made specially," she said to no one in particular. "This bed is too big to buy anything off the shelf." Mrs. Stradling seemed impervious to any undercurrents that ran between Max and Laurel. It appeared that all of her attention focused on learning the Masterson history. "So, the family no longer owns the lands?" "Nor the manor, either. The Barrys are my employers, and they recently sold everything to a new owner."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?